I have the Washington Wizards to clean us off or finish us off. I don't know where clean us off came from. Cleaning the glass is what it must have been on the brain. My question to you, the Wizards, they've won 6 of their last 7, during which time they have the second best defense in the NBA. Now, we can get into the teams that they've beat over those 7 games. Shorthanded Miami, the G League Hornets, you know, Oklahoma City. That was actually a hell of a game. But like they beat the Jazz, they beat the Mavericks without Beal. They beat the Hornets again. They are 8th in defense on the season, though. And so my question, and I'm going to present to you evidence before I allow you to answer it, is Washington's defense for real? And we asked this question, I'm sure, last year because they were off to just this like rollicking start. They have the 6th best half court defense in the NBA. You dig into the personnel, the starting lineup that they're playing at the moment, which is kind of by force, has been absolutely annihilating opponents. They're not getting lucky when it comes to, they limit not as drastically as Boston and Milwaukee, but they limit looks at the rim and from 3-point range. And they haven't gotten lucky with opponent 3-point shooting. They're 24th in opponent 3-point shooting. They're 10th in opponent shooting at the rim, which is just like, you have KP, you have Daniel Gafford, you have a bunch of like rangy, bigger wing type guys. They're doing this without DeLon Wright, who's been out. And then the other thing that they've done, what like it's low, they don't foul, they don't force turnovers, but they don't foul. And then it's, they're going to grab rebounds. They are, when you look at the opportunities that opponents generate per miss, so those second chance opportunities, only the Chicago Bulls allow fewer of those opportunities now. It's like the Wizards are not letting you, I'm not even just like, it's not just specific. It is, yes, a defensive rebound, but like the Wizards are not giving you like putbacks. They're taking away that easy stuff. And so it feels like there's an air of legitimacy to this in a way that there wasn't last year. And I can't tell if I'm being, to use your word from before, like a little too wishy-washy here. But like Denny Avdia's had to play more minutes over this span. He's actually looked really good. I know that I'm a sucker for Denny Avdia in the first place, but like even Rui Hachimura looked better before. I think he's dealing with something right now too. They seem like they gotten good minutes from Jordan Goodwin this year. So I'm just like, are they a top 10 defensive team is my question. And then look, if you say yes, how do you let that inform? Because I think some people might be expecting us to treat them like the Hornets. What should this team tank? And I think that's probably a fair question. But do you think Washington's defense is for real? And then if it is, does it matter?
Yeah, so the second part's harder, so I'll take the first part. I think you probably I know we were talking about there were 2 or 3 other teams that were surprises to be in the top 10 of defensive efficiency a week or 2 ago, and I think I punted on all of them. The Wizards were one of them. I think there are a couple things that suggest there is some sustainability here, and the first is their location-based effective field goal percentage. Like you went through not a lot of opportunities for opponents at the rim, not a lot of from 3. They're pretty good at limiting the corners. So I don't think it's a smoke and mirrors thing. It's not like opponents are just missing a bunch of open threes, like, which can still be a massive driver of defensive effectiveness, even 20-ish games into the season like we are now. I
Right.
think that's kind of real. The other thing, just when I've watched, is Bradley Beal is trying. Like, I think he's making much more of an effort defensively than he had in the last couple of years. Maybe that's health. Maybe that's sensing like this team actually might be pretty good. It's worth my effort. I think Porzingis has mattered. He's an imperfect defensive player, but he does have his value as a rim protector, as just someone who
His
deters
mobility,
shots.
like
Yeah,
hip mobility, I guess I would call it, has looked so good just in Washington in general since he's come over
right.
from there.
It's different. It's different. And hopefully that lasts, because it's always just been a question of can he stay healthy enough to really move like he's capable of. So there's a few things that point to sustainability. Does it matter? I mean, so zoom all the way out, and what you still have is a roster built around Beal and an enormous contract and some wings that are at least interesting in different ways. Kuzma, Avdia, Hachimura, like, sure, there's rotation caliber players there. Porzingis is your second best player, probably. Kuzma might have something to say about that. I don't know. But he's, health issues. He's kind of not not functioned as like your second option on a good team successfully. We tried that in Dallas with a better player than Beal next to him. So, like, does it matter insofar as are we trading, are we buying or selling? I don't think the Wizards were going to be sellers anyway. So I think it's probably just like a pleasant surprise and a good story if this defense is legit and it, you know, maybe it keeps Washington respectable or with a winning record deeper into the season than you or I might have thought. I don't feel like it makes them someone that are likely to win a first round series or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know how much it matters, but I do think there is some compelling stuff that suggests like they actually are, for sure going to be above average defensively. I think in top 10 is very much in play.
I wonder if it changes things I don't think the roster is currently constructed, I'm with you, is built to win a playoff series if this sustains. But I'm just wondering if this gives them more of a license to be aggressive as buyers, because like they do have some money they could play around with when you're looking at the contracts. And yes, I know they owe that 2023 first to the Knicks, but like if you're a team that's sending the Wizards a good player, you're probably banking on them making the playoffs this season. And they would if they started today. They're in the top 5. Yeah. So you can bank on that conveying. And there's worse scenarios than when the first round pick is coming in 2025. You want to short the Wizards' long-term future. So they can, in my mind, I know it's conditional. If they trade you 3 first-round picks, that would be a mega trade. But if they trade you 3 first-round picks, you can bank on those 3 first-round picks conveying unless you're allowing them to be protected. And so I just think they're a sneaky team on the blockbuster market. We've seen the rumors about like Phoenix being interested in Kuzma. Will the Wizards trade him because he's coming up on his contract? I'm just wondering, like, if we're getting into December, closer to Christmas, and their defense is still hovering around the top 10, and it just looks like they need a little bit more offensive juice, that another, I would call it the outside in score to pair with Beal, who's not Monte Morris, it's not Kuzma, it's not Denny Avdia. Like, that might be a team that could go after it, and I actually wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, it would make more sense. I mean, I think compared to the alternative of, well, let's see what we can get for Kuzma. Let's flip, let's get some assets. Let's get some picks, which was really not on the table once the Beal deal got done. Yeah, they could definitely be buyers. I think if you said, are they buyers or sellers? Like the second you give Beal $250 million, like you're buyers. You're not selling anything else. So yeah, they do profile as an interesting team. I think as I'm looking at some other stuff on them, they are 5th in the East, but their SRS, their simple rating system, Basketball Reference puts that together. It's strength of schedule, factors in with net rating. They're still in the negative, and they really stand out among the top like 6 or 7 teams that are all well into the positive. So the schedule has been a factor here, I think, but you alluded to that off the top. So, that's not anything new. I will say, I did not think the Wizards were going to be any good at all. So this is another instance of me being proved wrong pretty early through the first quarter of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, it's tough because of the schedule, but then you're looking at the harbingers that would normally concern you, whether the defense isn't for real. And I think the offensive concerns are absolutely for real. Like they are still, to me, like he's been better this year, but like, Kristaps Porzingis post-ups are still just a little bit too big a part of like the offensive structure for me. So and I didn't mean to turn it to are they buyers or sellers, but I think if the defense is actually this good, it makes being a buyer more palatable for both the team and fans.
Yep, agree.